Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show into all the apps people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? Well, the answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. When I started using Anchor to do my podcast, it was so extremely easy that I haven't even bothered to look for another app to use. I love this app. It's the only one I deal with, the only one I even recommend, period. I recommend you get on there ASAP. If you want to start a podcast, this is definitely the place to go. It's easy. You can drive around and record. You can sit in your basement and record. You can do it anywhere. It's fantastic. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast, make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start, anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. Hey, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Adam Rich from the Really Rich Podcast. And today, listen, I want to talk to you guys about sticking with a plan. Not just making a plan, but sticking with the plan. Because this applies with many, many, many things. But whenever, I know that nowadays a lot of people, especially with how fast everything is moving, so many people, when they want something or they want to make a change or they want to start something, they want the goal or the end result to happen as quickly as physically possible. I mean, I think we're all kind of guilty of this, but the trick is not to just, there's so many people that want to do something and then they give it like a few days or maybe a few weeks, maybe a couple months, and then they just give up because it hasn't happened. The end result or their goal or their dream or whatever it is just doesn't happen as quickly as they want, and then they'll give up on the goal or the task and move on to something else because they think that, it must not be it's not meant to be for me, or it's not happening quick enough. I obviously am not good enough, so maybe I need to change. I need to rethink the tactic. And listen, it's always a good idea to kind of think about your strategy and think, rethink whether or not something is working. If you don't think something's working for you, it's good to maybe tweak the plan, but you should never give up on what you're expecting the end result to be. If you're trying to start a business, you should never think to yourself, if I'm not making X amount of dollars after, the first month or after the first year, I'm done, I'll move on to something else. That's a horrible strategy, because most great things that you're trying to accomplish, most of anything that you think might be worth it, is going to take a very long time to accomplish. And that happens with everything. Think about a relationship. Nobody dives into a relationship and after the first date, or dives into a first date and immediately is ready for marriage and children and college for their kids. These things don't happen overnight. If you want to have a good, long-lasting relationship, then the fact of the matter is, in order for it to be long-lasting, means that a lot of time has to pass. And time, you can't give something a month or a year and think that a lot of time has passed. At the same time, if you're desperate for your if you're going to start a new business and you're desperate for it to make money, you desperately need the money from it, then that's a terrible strategy anyway, because you're not going to start a business and be a multimillionaire in the first month. It's possible, but it's very, very, very rare, and it's not something you can bank on. It's not a good strategy to just say, I'm going to start this business, and if I'm not a millionaire in a month, I'm done. You're gonna try a lot of businesses if that's your strategy. The thing about it is, whenever you make a plan for something, patience first and foremost has to be expected. You have to have, the ones that succeed are the ones that have been patient and dealt with the bad, shitty times. If you look at guys like Elon Musk, billionaire. Guys like Bill Gates, billionaire. Anybody that you know that has created their own success, and I mean, what I mean by that is they've become millionaires or billionaires, but they've started with very little. Meaning, like, you didn't have a rich parent just hand you money or hand you a business. If you want to create anything great and wonderful and sustainable, it requires time. If you want to have, and think about this, goes with everything. If you want to have a degree and a lot of knowledge in a certain field, you have to spend a lot of time in school. You don't just go to school for 2 weeks and then you're a master. And the people that say, hey, if you buy my master class in 2 weeks, you could be a millionaire. Like, that's bullshit. You're going to throw your money away on all those bullshit classes, those bullshit strategies of people telling you they have some master class for you. Listen, if they want to give you a master class for free, then take it. Take your time, do it right, but it's free. It doesn't cost shit but your time. That's okay. But anytime somebody says, hey, if you give me 3 easy payments of $20 to do it, don't fucking do it. I don't care if it's only $20. It's bullshit. There is no quick, easy, cheap fix to make you a millionaire. It doesn't fucking exist. It requires 2 extraordinary talents that everybody is capable of, and it's this: hard work, patience. Those 2 things. Those 2 factors are what every single successful, a successful person, successful businessman, successful relationship, it requires those 2 things every single time. Because think about, and I can even relay this into I can relay patience into relationships. If you have a relationship and you're not a patient person, then the first or second time that your partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, does something that you don't like, and you're not a patient person, you're going to be out. You're going to be gone. But if you think to yourself, well, listen, every person on earth has flaws. If you can find somebody, if you can have the patience to tolerate the flaws that your specific partner at that time has, then you have a better shot at making it a long-lasting partnership, or relationship, I should say. Partnership like you're in a business, but partnership too. I mean, let's be honest. If you're married, that's your partner. Whether you're gay or straight, that's your partner. I know when it comes to being like gay relationships, they'll say partner more often than if you're a man and woman in a relationship. You rarely say partner, but that's bottom line what it is, especially if you're raising kids. That's your partner, dude. And that doesn't mean like it's a business relationship. It means because it requires both of you to be great in order to succeed. You can't have a shitty dad and then a good mom and think that the kid is going to turn out flawless and great. Now, first off, nobody's flawless. And now we're kind of getting off in the weeds here, so I don't want to dabble too far, but it does. Everything. If you want to be successful at literally any endeavor, it requires hard work and patience. Those are the 2 factors. Now, there's many other things that can go into it. Taking it a step further if you want, depending on what your success is, what you call success, what you're trying to accomplish, all those things. But there are 2 necessary factors in success with everything, and it requires hard work and patience. And one category, listen, and the reason why I'm pushing the patience thing so bad, because there's plenty of people that can be hard workers. That's very common. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's definitely very common to run into lazy people too, but we're not talking about those people because those people are already going to lose. If you're lazy in your own endeavor and it's something you care about, you're going to lose. But I also think that if it's something you dramatically care about, something you really like a lot, you're not going to be that lazy because it's something you dramatically care about, something that you are good at, you care about, you like it a lot, it's important to you. There's a good chance you're going to work hard at doing something like that. If you actually care, if you actually like it. Like, I'm lazy when it comes to chores around the house. I will be the first to admit it. I'm sure my wife would be the second. But the reality is I hate doing those chores. Do they get done? Sure. Do they get done willingly and happily? No, not by me. And I mean, she's not very happy about doing them either. But we have to work together. It requires, if you want to keep your house from looking like a fucking hoarder house, it requires hard work and it requires patience. And it's just the truth, man. Anything that you want to happen greatly, you have to apply patience. There are so many people that work hard, but they're not patient, and those people will fail. Because if you're a hard worker, it doesn't matter how hard you're working. If you're only working for a week, or if you're only working for a month, you can't expect long-term success. Listen, Joe Rogan, if you know who he is, he's an extraordinarily hard worker. If you listen to anything that he's done in his life, he's constantly busy. He's constantly doing stuff. He works out. He has a family. He goes on the road and does stand-up. He runs his podcast. He's been in TV shows. He's done interviews. He has hobbies. He has a life to live, and he's busy as fuck constantly. He works his ass off. But he started doing his podcast back in, I want to say either 03 or 05, 06, somewhere in there. He's been doing his podcast for a very long time. It's only been in the last couple years that he's made some serious money off of it. He's been working at this shit for like 15 years, around there, plus or minus a couple of years. And he's been at it for a fucking long time, where he was never making shit from it, but he kept doing it. And you know the kind of work and patience it takes to go from nothing to making a large amount of money on a podcast? Unless people know who you are and you already have a large following and a large standing, you're not going to do very well for a very long time. It requires time. It requires hard work, and it requires fucking patience. And especially if you're starting out a job. If you want a degree and you start going to college today, it's going to take a lot of hard work and a lot of patience. This is why I'm terrible when it comes to college. It's not that I'm terrible at learning. I love learning. I constantly study all kinds of shit. Sometimes I study shit I don't even like just so I know what I'm talking about if the topic comes up. But it requires that work. It requires that patience. Because when I went to college, I hated it. I had no patience for it, and I dropped out. I never got a degree of any kind. Anybody that listens to me, I highly encourage you to focus on logic and facts more than you focus on whether or not somebody has a degree. If you run a company or you run a business, if your job is to hire and all that, you shouldn't worry about who has a degree. You should be focused on you should be focused on what is actually being said. If you get into an argument with somebody and somebody is like, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. You didn't go to school. You didn't get a degree. That has nothing to do with the fact of whether or not the words that are coming out of somebody's mouth are actually true or not. I don't give a fuck if somebody has a piece of paper attached to their name. You know how many people throughout the history of time have been right about certain topics and there was no such thing as school or universities? I mean, shit, there was no universities. There was no degrees 1,000 years ago. And I guarantee you that there were people that were correct about things that didn't have degrees. You understand? Like, this is very legitimate here, because you can go to school and get a degree and still not have a fucking clue what you're talking about because you went for a field of something where the teacher or professor wasn't all that knowledgeable, and then they teach you what they want you to know, and all you have to do to pass that class is do what they're asking. You don't have to retain the knowledge. Listen, I can go to school for anything and learn what's required of me to learn enough to pass the class, and then in 10 days I've forgotten half of it. I went to school, I got a certificate, not a degree, but it was a certificate in electronics when I was in high school. I took two years of this stuff, and I got a 2-year certificate about all kinds of electronics. You know how much shit I forgot about electronics? Like 90% of it. So when I tell you that a degree means nothing, it's 100% true. A degree just means that the person was willing to put themselves through the hard work and the patience of getting that degree, that piece of paper that you're going to look at. It doesn't mean that they retained the knowledge. If you hired that person while they were in class getting A's, maybe they had the knowledge then, but it doesn't mean they still have it 10 years from now. It doesn't mean they care about it. It doesn't mean that they studied it and they kept going at it. Because listen, dude, I've taken many classes in college where you had to have electives where the class has nothing to do with your degree, but you just need it for credits. I wouldn't claim to be, a genius in either field. If I go to school for astrophysics, but one of my electives is weightlifting, I wouldn't sit here and tell you that my weightlifting had anything to do with my astrophysics degree, and I damn sure wouldn't tell you that my astrophysics makes me a genius in the weightlifting. So it doesn't, you need to apply, like, what is somebody saying? That to me means way more than whether or not somebody has a piece of paper that says that they're smart. It just doesn't, and I can't stress that enough. People put too much stock on their degrees. The reality is you should listen to whether or not somebody knows what they're talking. Is what somebody's saying true or not? And this is why I highly encourage everyone to focus on logic, whether or not something makes sense or not, whether or not it's possible or not, and do your own fucking research. It's so important. And once again, people don't want to do the research because they don't want to take the time. They don't want to put in the work. They don't have the patience. People are working hard and patience. Making a plan and actually sticking with it, and especially when things aren't going good, is the number one strategy for success when 99% of people will give up. So many people give up because they either don't want to put in the work or they don't have the patience. And if you don't have either, you're fucked. You're lost. You're done right from the beginning. You have no shot. People, get your shit together, work hard, have extraordinary patience. If you make a plan, stick with that plan. Even when things aren't looking good, trust me, it will certainly pay off for you in the long run. But you gotta love it. If you don't love it, you're never gonna do these things. You're never gonna work hard and be patient with something you don't actively, physically fucking love. If you're just doing it for the money, you will lose. You will definitely fucking fail because you will give up when you're not making the money and nothing's happening for you. You're going to give up on that hard work and especially if you don't have patience. You're going to give up quickly. I've seen it happen to so many people. And if you can just apply patience, even when things look like they're never going to work out for you, those are the people that fucking win every time. The first step, though, about all this is that you have to, like I said, man, you got to find out what it is that you actually like. Because it's the worst thing is that I wish that I could help everyone in society understand that money is it's not the fucking most important thing. Everyone, like, not everyone, obviously, but like 99 fucking % of people, if you ask them where their goals lie, you can tell by their answer that the majority of what they're shooting for is having more money. And it's sad. It is sad, man, because you don't understand how little money has to do with your happiness. Everyone I know, listen, growing up, every kid I knew, why do you want to do chores? You want to make money so you can go buy shit. But the reality is, the majority of us, your parents are working and paying the bills and buying groceries when you're a kid to put food on you have a house to live in. So you have a place to live in, apartment, house, trailer, whatever. You have a place to live, so that's already taken care of. You have food on your plate from your parents working and buying groceries and shit. And even if you don't, if you have welfare, the government will supply, you have food on your plate. Bam, that one's taken care of. If you have your electric, you have electricity, you have running water, if your needs are taken care of, then all that shit about making money and stuff is 100% irrelevant until later. You can worry about that nonsense later. What should be done is while all your needs are being taken care of, you have a roof over your head, you have food on your plate, you have your health. If all of those things are in line already, when you're a kid, when you're young, your focus should be 100% on figuring out what the fuck you like. What you're good at, too. Because, listen, there's a lot of things that I like that I ain't that great at, and there's a lot of things that I'm good at that I don't fucking like. So to try to capitalize on those things and those like with that formula, it's not good. It's not a good formula to do. If you're good, like, listen, I'm really good at math. I'm not like the best calculus ever or nothing like that, but math has always come relatively easy to me. I've always been decent at it. I hate it. So to be an accountant would be stupid for me. Now, like, you know, or to be like involved in chemistry or astrophysics, like, or astrology, or is it astrology? Astronomy, right? Whichever one isn't the horoscopes, right? So the point is, just because I'm good at math, I don't like it. So if I tried to get myself involved, it would be like in a career doing that, it would be stupid, because I would be doing something just because I'm good at it doesn't mean that I want to do it every fucking day, all day. You know, but at the same token, I really love video games. But when I was growing up, it wasn't like a reality to be able to play video games as a career. The only option you had if you really liked video games was to get involved in designing like video games, to like developing them, to write code, and to be good at graphic design, and to figure out how to put the video games together. That shit seemed boring to me. And I'm not saying it should be. It just was to me. If that's what you're into, that's fucking awesome. Then you should double down and go all in on becoming a video game developer. Make your own shit. Like, here's what I love about, a lot of people don't know this. Roger Clemens, famous baseball player, Hall of Fame baseball player, one of the greatest ever. He loved playing video games, and he liked the kind of Lord of the Rings-ish style, like the orcs and goblins and shit like that, you know? So he really liked video games like that. So what he did is he became, this isn't the reason he became a Hall of Fame baseball player. He loved baseball as well. But he also had other interests, like we all do. None of us have just one only interest. We all have things that we're into. He also liked video games. So here's what he did. He was a Hall of Fame, like he was making millions and millions playing baseball. He loved baseball. Well, he eventually made enough money to where he took some of that money and he invested it into making a video game company. I believe it was called 989 Studios. 98 Studios or 989 Studios, one of the two. And he developed this video game company because he wanted to make a video game that he liked, that he wanted to play. And he did. It was called Kingdoms of Amalur, or something like that, right? You can look it up. I'm pronouncing it wrong, but it's Kingdoms of Amalur or something. He developed this game. He put a bunch of money into it. The studio itself eventually ended up going out of business. I think there was money issue. I don't know the entire story about how he lost the company or how he ended up having to get rid of it or how it went bankrupt or whatever. But the point that I'm getting at about it, regardless whether it stayed in business or not, is not the point of the story. The point of the story is he was great at playing baseball, so he did that. He also loved video games. And since he didn't want to make the video games thing a career, or you couldn't back then, what he did is he made baseball a career. He got he was really fucking awesome. He made a bunch of money. And then he got to the point where he had so much money, he made his own studio to make a video game that he liked. And it was actually a pretty fucking cool game. I played it. It was a good deal. You know, it was a good deal. If you liked that style of game. I mean, if you're only into playing like Madden, you're probably not going to play this game, but it was a fun game. And he loved it. So he paid to have his own video game made that he would like, and he liked it, and he played it, and it was great. Good times. Like, just because you're good at something. Now listen, if you're good at something to make, even if you don't like it all that much, if your only focus is making money, then you're going to do your job that you hate just to make the money. And where the money's cool, don't get me wrong, like traveling around, taking a lot of vacations, driving fancy cars, being on yachts, living in a mansion, all that shit sounds cool. But at the end of the day, if you're not doing what you actually enjoy doing, if your life doesn't consist of mostly doing and appreciating the things that you're doing, you're not going to be happy. And it's just true. It's the bottom line. If you spend a lot of your time being awake, doing things you don't like, you will not be happy. It doesn't get much more basic than that. That's logic. And I don't think too many people on the face of the earth care about logic as much as I do. And I need more people to be, not for my own fucking good, for yours. Because when you hear bullshit from all over the place, it misguides you. But if you have logic, if you look at everything as, does this make sense? Is this possible? And if it is, and if it's logical, like meaning like this, right? If I make $100 every day, and I spend and I spend $100. If I make $100 every day and I spend $100 every day, logically I'm going to be fucking broke. Because even if I make the $100 every day and I spend it, what do I have left? I got nothing. At that point, I'm broke. So if you ask me to do anything else, I can't. If you want me to spend any other money, I can't. So what do people do? They buy credit cards. They then have an extra line of income. They think, oh, well, I can spend whatever I want. I'll just buy it, put it on this. Logically, now you're going to be in the hole. That's logic. You can't spend more than you make and think that you're somehow going to be just fine. You know? Like that's what logic is. So what I'm saying is, don't spend more than you make. Don't do something you hate every day just to make money, because you're going to hate it. That's the idea. That's the reality. If you do something you don't like just to make money, then you're then going to do things you don't like just to make money. You hear the tone kind of changes everything? If you do something you don't like just to make money, then in turn your life is going to consist of doing things you don't like just to make money. And it's sad. It's a sad way to live. I've heard people say like, oh, well, if I make more money, I can just buy a jet ski. You ever see anybody miserable on a jet ski? No, not usually, but I have seen people have to put the jet ski away at the end of the day, and then they're fucking miserable. Because their life sucks outside of that damn jet ski. Listen, you can buy all kinds of things, and it's always everything that you purchase with money is temporary happiness. And you have no idea how important that statement is. Everything that you buy with money is temporary happiness for a short time. Every new car you've ever bought, and people that are older know this, people that have been around a while and have done these things know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. If you buy your favorite car in the entire universe, it just comes out today. It's a 2020 whatever the fuck you want. And you buy that today. You are going to be extraordinarily happy today. Probably even in a week. Maybe even in a month. But in a year, you're used to that thing. That thing that you were so ramped up about, that you were so excited to get, like the new Tesla truck just came out, right? Some people think it's hideous. Some people love it and can't wait to get it. The people that love it and can't wait to get it, they're going to get it, and they're going to love the shit out of it. And then in a year, it's just going to be a regular part of their life. It's not something worth praise anymore. It's not something to celebrate anymore. Like anything else. Anything that you've had for a while, we have this weird thing about, as human beings, we have this weird issue where we find things that we love, and once they become a normal part of our life, we take them for granted. And I try not to. I mean, it happens to all of us to an extent. Everyone's a little bit different. I rarely take things for granted. I do take things for granted sometimes. I don't mean to. I don't want to. I know that that's bad. I know that you shouldn't take things for granted. You have no idea how long they're going to last. We have this weird thing in our mind to where when we get used to something, we're like, this is just life now. It's always going to be like this. Ask anybody who's amassed a large amount of wealth and then spent all that shit, and now they have their fame and popularity and all that's gone, and now they have no wealth. Ask them if it's going to be around forever. Ask MC Hammer if all that money was going to be around forever. Shit, I even heard Floyd Mayweather, if anyone knows who MC Hammer is, or Floyd Mayweather, I even heard that he's getting low on money, and that's why he wants to go back into boxing, because he knows he's going to make $100 million a fight. 100 plus million. This dude makes 9 figures every fucking fight. It's insane. People want to see him fight that bad. Eventually, he's going to be too old, and nobody's going to pay, even if he wants to fight, nobody's going to care that much. The thing that he's got going for him, though, is that he's undefeated. He's never lost a fight. So until he loses, his stock is going to be through the roof, because people will line up to watch this dude fight until he loses. As soon as he loses one fight, he's now lost all that potential money from here on out. Because after he's lost, people are not going to tune in enough to see a guy who's not undefeated anymore. The reason his stock is so high is because he's never lost. People are just waiting like, can anybody beat him? So the reality is, when you think things are going to be around forever and then they're not, it can make you miserable, because some people aren't ready to say goodbye to whatever that is. So don't take things for granted. Appreciate everything. Appreciate everything that you have that's in your life. And anything that you're trying to achieve, don't take for granted the grind that you need, that's necessary to put in. Don't take for granted the patience, and certainly don't take for granted the journey. Because part of the fun is the journey you go through. Like, I didn't like going to school. I hated going to school. You know what I miss, though? Friends, like in high school. Like those type, like just not caring about the school and just showing up and being surrounded with 1,000 other people that are like just like you as far as being a student at that age and going through those times of your life and all that stuff. You miss that kind of camaraderie. Now, would I like to go back to that? No, of course not. I mean, I miss the element of it, though. You know, and I wouldn't. Here's one area where I say I would say that I took for granted, that I don't regret it. It's not a huge deal, but I kind of miss it. My last day of school ever in high school, everyone that was a senior wanted to, like, after school was over, they all wanted to go out. Like, we all got let out a little bit early, like an hour early or something like that. And everyone stayed around. Most people stayed around in the parking lot and joked around and laughed and had a good time and just enjoyed each other's presence basically for one last time. Me and my buddy, we were like, yeah, fuck all that. Let's just go. And I was friends with a lot of people. It wasn't like the reason I left was because I was hated. It was that we just thought like idiots. We were like, oh yeah, we're fine. We're too cool for that. We'll see some people later. Let's just get out of here and go enjoy this, or, getting out of school. Or let's go fuck off and have a good time. And we did. We left. And to this day, man, I'm like, man, that kind of sucks. I wish I would have just stuck around and just got to see everyone one last time, like as a group, like an assembly of people. It would have been great. I don't regret it. It's not like it ruined my life or anything, but I think about that every now and again, like, damn, that would have been cool. And I fucked it all up, and it's gone forever. So these things, when you take things for granted, like I took for granted all those people that I knew in high school, all those times that we had, the memories that we built and all that shit. And I took it for granted. I was like, oh yeah, we'll see them again. Dude, after high school, you see barely anybody. You'll see some people. You'll see like 5, 10, 20 people or something like that after high school, and you'll shoot the shit and go, hey, how's it going? But man, when you're in high school, you can have 1,000 friends. After high school, they start dropping like flies. And I don't mean like death or nothing like that. I just mean you don't hang out anymore. You stop finding time for each other. You find time to do other things and other experiences. And you don't need to rush things, dude. Like, I was so ready to make high school just be over with. And like I said, it's not because I hated the people or hated my time there. It's I didn't like class. I didn't like, the homework and shit like that. I just took it for granted. It's an assembly. It's a time that you will never get back. Every adult says it to you, and you're like, yeah, whatever. When you're in high school and you hate it so much like I did, when you hate the homework and the classes and all that shit, when you hate it like I did, you will think to yourself, oh, like you'll have parents and adults say, man, I miss high school. You're going to miss these days when they're gone. Listen, let me tell you right now, I may not know you. I fucking know that you're going to miss it at some point. You're at least going to miss some elements of it. You might not miss everything. I don't miss homework. I don't miss school. I miss the people. I miss the friends, the hanging out, the fucking off, the party, and the good. Like, it's just different, man. Life's different now, and I'm grateful for where I'm at, and I wouldn't change anything. What I'm saying is when it's gone, and you don't need to rush life, dude. Don't rush. Be fucking patient. If you have a plan for things, if you're starting a business, you're starting a new job, you're starting school, you're starting a new relationship, stop rushing shit. Enjoy the process. Slow down. Work hard at whatever it is that you do that you care about. If you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend that you're extremely in love with, or that you really like and you really care about them, you got to work hard to make it work. Because you're going to have moments where you're going to fight, you're going to be mad at each other, and you're going to be like, oh, fuck that person. But at the same time, you love them. You don't want them gone. Like, I have little arguments with my wife every now and again. We don't fight very often, but we'll fight a little bit here and there. I love her to death. I would never want her to leave. I would never want her gone. But you'll have moments, even with your best friends, with your parents, your kids, everything. You'll have moments where you're like, oh, fuck that person. And then time passes, you calm it down, you get back into neutral, and then all of a sudden you're like, man, I don't want to fight. I don't want to argue with that person. I love that person. Why are we arguing? You know, you got to be patient, and you have to work hard with everything important in your life. It takes hard work and extraordinary patience to raise a child. They don't know as much as you. So they make dumb decisions, or they do things that aren't what an adult would do, and you're just like, oh, fuck. But the reality is, they don't know better yet. They're young. There's a reason why we have a voting age, why we have an age that you have to be in order to vote, to smoke, to drink, to drive a car, to gamble, to do anything that could potentially harm your life. We have an age for, like a minimum requirement. You know why? It's not because every student is a fucking idiot. It's that usually most children don't make the best decisions because they haven't been around long enough to know what's good for them. And when other people are trying to tell you what's good for you, it's easy to be like, oh, fuck you. You don't know me. You don't know what's good for me. I know what's good for me. When you're a kid, you don't know shit. You think you do. I know you do. If you're a kid, if you're under 18 and you're listening to this, I know you think I'm wrong. I know you're like, well, you don't know. Some of us, I know what I want. You think you do. And when you're my age, you're going to be like, man, I didn't know shit. Because that's exactly how I felt. If you're cocky as fuck and you think you know what you want and you're less than 18 years old, believe me, I was cockier than you were. I thought I knew more than you think you know. Like, I did it all. I thought exactly how you do, probably worse. But then you get my age now. I'm 36. I'm double that age now. I'm double 18. Right? I told you I was good at math. But I'm double 18 now. And I fucking know how stupid I was at 18. I know that all these things that I used to want badly when I was 18, I don't want half of. I wanted to party. I wanted to go out and find different girls all the time. I never wanted kids. I didn't want to get married. I didn't care about having a fucking house. I didn't care about a full-time job. I didn't care about having certain cars. Now, or I still don't care about certain cars, I guess, but I didn't care about all these other things. And I did care about certain things. And now that I'm double that age, it's like so reversed. Like when I was 18, didn't want to get married, didn't want to have kids. Now I wouldn't trade that for the world. When I was 18, didn't give a fuck about having a house. Now I have a house. I wouldn't want to go back to living with my parents. I love my parents. Definitely don't want to live with them. And I know they don't want to live with me. And they love me too. It's just things change, dude. But the thing about your life, when you make a plan, make sure, this is why I think it's so important to make sure it's something you like and you care about. Because if you make a plan and it's something you don't care about, but it's just something you think is going to make money, and you stick with that plan, yeah, you're going to make your money. I guarantee you will. But you're going to be fucking miserable. So first and foremost, I think you should figure out what it is that you love, what you would do every day for free. And then go all in on that. Figure out a plan. Figure out how you're going to make that your life. Figure out how you're going to make that into, if you want to go to school for 7 years to be a doctor, make a plan, stick with it. Don't go through 3 years of fucking medical school and then be like, I hate this. Let's end it. But if you do go through 3 years of medical school and you realize that you hate it, then get the fuck out of there and start doing what you like. But if you love medicine, you love the idea of doing like surgeries and helping people and healing them, if they're sick or have injuries or whatever, if you love that shit, put yourself through 7 years, go all in, be patient because it's going to fucking take time, and understand that even if you're 30, 40, 50 years old, you got so much time left. Dude, I'm 36. If I doubled this age, I'd be 72. There's people living to over 100. I could literally live 3 more fucking lives right now. Or, 2 more of what I've already done. I could live 3 full lives. 3 full of my life. It's very possible, especially after that much time has passed and knowing how medicine's going to be then. Like when I was a kid, living to 100 was very rare, but it was possible. Now, there's people living to 105, 110, 115. You hear about this shit all over the world all the time. Imagine how medicine's going to be in 30, 40, 50 years from now. It's unbelievable. I can't even fucking imagine what it's going to be like then. But the bottom line is, people, figure out what it is that you like first. Happiness first. What sets you on fire, what you're thrilled about, what you would do every day for free. Figure that shit out first, then worry about how you can make money doing it. Figure out a plan. Make a real fucking plan about what you're going to do by the time I'm, a month in or a year in or 5 years in, 10 years in, whatever. However you want to see your life play out, make a plan, reverse engineer it. Figure out, say, hey, at 30, I want to be here, but what it's going to take to get there is this, and this, and then do those things. Make a plan. Stick with the plan. Even when things look bad, even when things look like they're not happening, even when it looks like you've put in 5 to 10 years of work and nothing's happened, I want you to remember this one damn thing. If there's anything you take out of this, take this. Every star athlete, every star musician, every star actor, all of them, I don't want to say actors, acting's a little different, but every star athlete, this is a big one in sports. I'll just use sports for the analogy for this. Every single athlete that's in the major leagues, the NFL, the MLB, the NBA, Serena Williams, all these, every star, Tiger Woods, every one of them, there's one thing that they all have in common. They worked their ass off at that craft for years and years and years and years, for minimum a decade. And I honestly think that they put in even more time than that, but we'll lowball it and say a decade. Every single one of them put in minimum of 10 years without ever getting paid for it. And I want that to, let me say it one more fucking time. Every single athlete, every star athlete that's made it to the pros, that's made it to the big time, that's making a living doing it, making millions, making hundreds of thousands, whatever, making big money, doing what they like, they all have that one thing in common. They all worked their ass off for at least a decade for free. LeBron James was playing basketball when he was 3 years old. Nobody fucking paid him to do that at 3 years old. Nobody paid him until he was 18 years old. That's 15 fucking years. That's 15 years he worked his ass off at basketball every day of his life for nothing. I don't want to say for nothing, but for free. He didn't get paid. Tiger Woods, same thing. Was golfing at 2 years old with his dad, working on his golf craft every fucking day. Every day for years and years and years. He didn't get into pro golf until he was 18 years old. 17, 18 years old, maybe even older than that. I think it was 17 he was an amateur. I think he did a little bit of college too, if I'm not mistaken. So this dude was, 2 years old to, we'll say 18. It might have even been older. I think he might have been 19 or 20 when he finally made the pros. But we'll say 18. We'll lowball it. 2 years old, he started golfing. Minimum, he was 18 years old. That's 16 years of working every fucking day for free. So when you're working at your new job or your new business that you started up or you're going to college, just remember, nobody works their ass off for a couple of days and then hits it big. And if you can name me any of them, I'd love to hear more than two. I'd love to hear at least two people. And even if you name me two people, we still can understand and agree that's super fucking rare. So you can't bank on it. I know this though. Every athlete, there ain't no athletes that are 20, there's no pro athletes in any of the major sports that didn't put in at least a decade of hard ass work every day for free. It just doesn't happen. Eminem, he rapped since he was young, right? Or since he was youngish. He didn't have his first major record, his first major one. He had a couple like little discs that he threw out like with a couple songs on it or whatever. He didn't hit it big until I think he was 26. He'd been rapping since he was like 10. That's 16 fucking years. He did it for free. He might have made like $50 here and there or $100 here and there to go to a fucking battle, like to go to a rap battle. And that's only if you win. You can put in all that work, go to do the battle, get beat in the first or second round, and not make shit. So the bottom line is, work your ass off, and you have to have patience. You're looking at minimum a decade of hard work before you can ever expect to really make any good ground. I've been doing this podcast for almost 2 years, like a year and a half to 2 years. I ain't making a whole lot. I'm not barely making, I have a full-time job that I do besides this, you know? It's what it takes. It takes hard work. It takes doing something you love for free. That's why I'm pushing, find out what you love first. Because if you're willing to do it for free, you don't mind having to wait a decade because you love it anyway. But if you're working your ass off doing something you don't like just because the money's good, dude, you're going to be miserable. You're going to be lost. So please, people, I got to get going, but stick with the plan. Have some patience. 2 key factors. Work hard, patience. Don't forget that. I love you guys, and please, if you want to talk, if you want to get a hold of me, please do. I'd love to talk to you. It's on. You can leave me a voice message through the Anchor app. If you go through the Anchor app, you can leave me a voice message on the show. You can find me on any social or any platform, really, for the most part, as far as being able to listen. Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, like everything, right? YouTube, even. I don't have really a lot of videos up there, but you can listen at least. But anyway. If you want to get a hold of me, though, on like a social media through Instagram, it's Really Rich Podcast. Twitter is Really Rich Adam. Facebook's also Really Rich Podcast. I forgot about that. Snapchat and YouTube, the name is Really Rich. You can find me on LinkedIn, business profile, baby. If you can find me on LinkedIn at Adam Rich, founder and host of Really Rich Podcast. And last but certainly not least, TikTok. You'll find me at It's Adam Rich. So I love you guys so much, and I thank you again. Please get a hold of me. Please, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, even if you just want to get a hold of me just to say you suck, you don't know what you're talking about, please do that. I'd love to have a conversation. DM me, any of those. I love you guys, and I thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.